Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's what is it? Podcast time, and because we're being, our event in Hawaii, the expo in Hawaii is getting close. Um, if you notice, I've been speaking to the, uh, I would call them powers that be in Hawaii that teaches Latin dancing and build their own community there. And one of them, I think that several of them probably are going to come in this meeting. If not, it's all good. The very first one that's early riser here is Alison Loo. How are you?
I am great, thank you.
Allison, when did you start dancing?
I started dancing back in 2015, right after I graduated from college.
So you've been dancing for like 7 years or something, right?
Yes.
Did you start salsa first or bachata?
I actually started bachata first, so bachata is my first love, but I enjoy both.
Hmm.
Um, and I was actually working at a restaurant at that time, and my friend had been trying to get me to go out, and I was like, yeah, bro, I'll totally go out with you, to go dancing, and I always like kind of put it off.
Yeah.
And I told him I was like, yeah, when I graduate, we'll totally go out. And I remember the week that I graduated, he was like, you don't have any more excuses. And I was like, man, okay. So I went out to my very first event, and it was at District Nightclub with Grant and
Uh-huh.
Kyle.
Uh-huh. Oh,
Yep,
Kyle, you used
that's
to
where
live
we
in that
started.
area, right? Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
I remember Kyle, yeah. Um, and so what was it like when your first lesson?
Um, I remember having a lot of fun. I was kind of overwhelmed because, it's something 100% new. It was one of those things that was always on my bucket list, but I never, thought I'd ever pluck up the courage to actually go and, make it happen.
Yeah. What were you into before Latin dancing anyway?
So, I'm actually in a family of musicians. So my dad teaches guitar, ukulele. He teaches voice. So I entered this industry at a very young age.
Yeah.
Um, I danced hula at some point, and I was also in martial arts since I was 10 years old.
What type of martial
So
arts was
lots
it?
of different. I was actually taking Aikido,
Uh-huh. Okay.
and I actually found the movements to be very similar to salsa.
Very
The
similar
way it changes,
when it
the
comes to
footwork.
dance partnering. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, when I finally figured it out, I was like, oh my god,
Yeah.
damn.
It's that connection, the tension, the pull and push,
Yes.
which this is why a lot of martial artists like Aikido or Tai Chi uh, is very helpful in leading and following. So that's good.
Hmm.
I find that most of these teachers that teaches dancing and that are good at it are into martial arts or have background in martial arts. Uh, so that's a good thing. Now, how'd you get into Mambo though? Because I noticed with Mambo Vixens, they've been concentrating a lot on Mambo as specifically foundational movements. So how'd you get into that?
Yes. So I actually started taking salsa and mambo from Stefan Kent. Of course, Stefan's been a mainstay here in Hawaii for many years.
Yeah,
Came from New York. So I took classes from him. Eventually, I moved to New York for school, and I came back home. COVID happened, all of that good stuff, and eventually we started up classes with the idea to give students a very strong foundation, things that Stefan had instilled in students such as myself at
yeah,
that previous time, but also things that hadn't really been gone over or kind of got glazed over or people so often overlook, just like the cadence. You
yeah,
can tell me the timing. We dance on two for New York style, but can you tell me the cadence? And most
yeah,
people will tell you no. They'll tell you, yeah, we dance on two. And I'm like, no, that's not what I'm talking about.
yeah,
I'm talking about something else.
yeah,
And they'll
yeah.
give me like the blank look.
Right, right. And that's when
Just small
you,
things like that.
well, it's a good test like that when people say they dance on two. it's a good test to test their level. What level are they in with that type of dancing when you ask those type of questions? And when they just stare at you, then yeah. Like for me, uh, like I know that when I ask Dominicanos, well, when you ask New Yorkers, right? I was like, what cadence? Like, what
Yes,
the hell are you talking about? Are you dancing on two? What the hell are you talking about? Because they were born with it. With
absolutely.
Dominicanos, I would ask them like, do you dance on three or do you dance on two? It's like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah,
And so, like for us, non-natives, I should say, then we get into that. We break it down, and and most of the time, most people understand that when you are in the Western countries like Europe and United States and what have you, uh, hey, you always start on one, you know. Oh, you always start on the
yes.
left if you're a lead, or on the right if you're a follow. But on Mambo, probably because there is that ballroom. There's that ballroom
Influence
influence
or
when Eddie Torres created the system. But with bachata, it's a
mhm.
little different because with traditional, there's no ballroom influence there, and therefore they start
Yeah.
on every timing or any timing, I should say. They could start on the right foot or they could start on the left foot. So
Absolutely. It was something that I knew before, and actually I think I took Edwin Ferreira's class.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
Edwin and Dakota.
yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah.
in Australia, and I think you were there actually as well,
Wait, wait,
2007.
wait, wait. You were in Australia? How come I didn't meet
And
you?
he was talking about bolero. I did, but it was like really briefly.
Really?
It was like one social dance where they brought all the international instructors up, and they're like, "Okay, ready, go!" And I was like, "Okay, hey!"
Oh my God.
So I
Yeah,
was there. He was talking about yeah, they were talking about bolero, and I was like, "Oh, okay, I've heard about it. I don't know too much about it." And he was talking about starting on three, and the concept was just like, "Bro, what are you talking about? You don't start on three." And it was so weird. I was like, because I'm programmed to go to the right on one, and my feet just did not want to go with it.
yeah,
Because then
yeah,
you're stepping three and stepping seven,
yeah.
and I'm like, come on, feet, like you gotta get with it.
But the
Same thing when I was
the
dancing in New
easiest way
York.
to do that, as you know, you probably felt in your body that once you get acquainted to it, it's like you're actually going with the bass, you know, bass
Yeah,
music, the bass
yeah,
guitar. Yeah, yeah,
exactly. And
yeah,
then it's like, oh, okay, it's not that bad. It's not so foreign.
yeah.
Um, one of the guys I was dancing with in New York from Yamole, I asked him for a dance, and he was like, "Oh yeah, sure, mommy, let's go." And I was like, "Okay, great. Like I've been super excited to dance with you." And he starts dancing, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, "What the heck
Were you
ever
dancing?
is this
Were you
guy
dancing bachata or
dancing on?"
salsa? Was it salsa or bachata?
I was dancing bachata, but he is from the Dominican Republic, and I was like, "Okay, yeah, sure, whatever, let's go." And he's like, "Mommy, are you gonna let me lead, or do you want to dance on one?" I was like, "Okay, okay, I'm sorry, that's my bad."
Yeah,
But he dances on two.
yeah. But one thing you got to know about the natives or the Dominicans who never studied any dancing in their life. Predominantly bachata dances. The dancers there dances on two. Okay, that's because it's
Yes,
almost
I
natural.
did learn to.
Yeah.
Uh,
Remember, in the Western world, our tap is on the fourth, right? And sometimes
yes.
we stop the rhythm on the fourth beat with our toes and not flat footed, right?
Mhm.
Now we tap it on the fourth, but for Dominicans, they tap on one. So the moment they tap on
Mhm.
one, the next step is a two, but full step, it's flat footed. That's why we call that on two. That's the way they dance it. Now, uh, it does look off timing, but if you notice that when I was just learning Mambo on two, I thought it was off timing, you know, but it's the same thing with on two and bachata, So,
Yes. It's it's so different. It's so strange to think there's so many different timings for mambo,
yeah,
for salsa, for bachata, but they all make sense
yeah,
when you actually think about it, you explain it, you talk about the instruments,
yeah.
and what you're trying to highlight.
Well, the on two version of bachata, I think, from an outsider point of view who looks at that type of thing, because the Dominicans will never look at that. Just like, why would they look at their dance? It's so natural. It's like I don't have to study my dance. But for us Westerners,
Exactly.
like, why are they doing that? And that's because Dominican does not follow the concept of timing, meaning counting. Okay, they don't follow the concept of
Hmm.
counting. They follow certain instrument. However, in bachata, they are more into dancing with lyrics or on the lyrics instead of the instrument. Therefore, sometimes they dance on two. And 90% of the
Right.
time, because they don't have that concept of timing, they think that the first step is a tap. Uh, and so, not that they think, that's the natural thing for them to do.
That's
Uh,
yes.
uh, but and then you get into people that are more educated in dancing. They took salsa and all of that stuff. They either dance on one or they dance on three, because when they dance on three, for some reason, it is as if they're floating in clouds dancing on three, because the instrument is going along with them, which is the dancing on three, which I prefer more. So
That's actually a really good way to explain it. I was telling my students, okay, so there's this expo coming up. Now, if somebody's not dancing on two, they're not wrong. So don't go telling them that you're dancing in the wrong number because it's bachata on one, two, three,
yeah,
whatever numbers. Same for
yeah.
salsa. You can't judge anybody and be like, no, you're wrong. And I was trying to explain how dancing bachata on three is different, but and I had a lack of a phrase, but like that phrase, dancing on the clouds is perfect.
Oh yeah, because you notice that, because when you do basic, especially stationary or even box step with on three, it feels like you're floating in the cloud, man. Toom, 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 toom. It's like, oh, that feels good. Toom, toom.
Yes.
You know, it's just that they get confused. It fucks up their brain for a while. So every
Yeah.
time, I teach on two on three, and I specifically title on two on three timing in bachata. So most of them are advanced, and I warned them at the first minute of the class. Okay, what I'm teaching you is probably a concept you've never used before. It's going to fuck up your brains, and then they all laugh. And then at the end of the project, you're right. I'm still fucked up.
Yeah, it takes a while to kind of not just reprogram your mind, but to make space for the possibility that it's not just what you thought it was.
Yeah, you have to reprogram your freaking shines.
Yeah, yeah,
Otherwise, you'll go
changing
back to
from on
one.
one to on two.
Yeah. I remember
Absolutely.
because I learned on one first from Alex de Silva when it comes to salsa. And then when I started dancing
Mhm.
on two and learning on two, it always fucks me up, or it always messes me up when I do cross bodily, because I go back to one. And and and
Yeah.
I thought that you had to learn certain movements and patterns in Mambo, but it's the same as you're learning on one. It's just a matter of different timing and interpreting the
Mhm.
music. And so it's a matter of getting used to. So when people, I think I think it's in the workshop that I scheduled teaching on two and on three, they won't get it overnight, but at least they will get the
No.
concept.
Hmm. You'll get them thinking and to bring some awareness to it, which is, I
So,
guess,
so
the
my
entire
question to
point.
you, because I noticed you do a lot of marketing when it comes to Mambo Vixen's classes, and most of these classes I
Hmm.
notice are deep rooted in basics. Why? Why do you do that? Why can't you offer advance?
So it's really funny you ask because recently I've had a lot of people saying, Ali, when are you gonna offer advanced courses? Like we're ready. And I'm like, I would really love to. I have a lot to share. My instructors have a lot to share. Like we enjoy teaching more patterns, more flashy things. But the issue is that students already struggle with what they have now. They're getting by on what they have, but the spots where they're having trouble goes back to not understanding the fundamentals correctly. They skipped a step or they didn't 100% understand the fundamentals and the basics. So I'm sure I nag my girls all the time. They're tired of me telling them but simple things like your weight shifts,
Yeah.
it's either all on the right or all on the left, or you're split. There's no like kind of sort of here or there. It either is or it isn't.
Yeah.
And just small things like the weight shifts contribute to your partner work,
Absolutely. Yeah.
to bachata, to cha-cha, kizomba, whatever it is that you're dancing.
Yeah. There is what I call LMO principle when it comes to learning any techniques, and particularly with the foundational movements. Learn the move. Okay, you learn it, right? That doesn't mean you're going to get
Mm-hmm.
good at it. You're just still learning it. Then
Yes.
master it. Okay, once you master it, it doesn't end there. You have to
No.
own the movement, because if you don't own the movement, you're not going to be able to control it to your whatever built you have, to your genetics, to your own interpretation, to your own style. Otherwise, if you don't get to
Mm-hmm.
the O principle, you are in the M principle, which is good, but you are following somebody else's, if that makes sense. You know, you
Yes.
make it your own, because those three principles are important, because now you could control it. You could apply it at any time. You know, um,
Mm-hmm.
and in regards to, yeah, that's the thing. The beginners always want more. They always, oh, I want more patterns. I want to be like those guys who's doing it. And you're right. They can't handle it yet.
Yes.
They can't. You know, the
I
funny
mean,
thing is us.
well, I want to offer it, but not yet.
They're not going to be able to
Oh, sorry.
handle
Go
it,
ahead.
because
Go
you
ahead.
know what's going to happen after an hour? They forget it. They wasted their money. So now,
Yes.
the other thing is, it's so funny because when I was just beginning, I wanted more, right? And then I got into the intermediate level, right?
Absolutely.
Where, I sort of just mastered certain movements, and I thought I was a teacher already. I thought I was, a badass motherfucking dancer already. But then when you look at the masters, like, I got a lot to learn, you know. But then you become
Yeah.
advanced dancers, and sometimes you become a teacher. You're considered pro once you start making money from your lessons. uh, uh, and then you get into that thing where you possess all of these movements, all of these patterns, all of this idea, yet the basics, the fundamentals, for some reason, keeps calling you, and you are drawn to go back to that fundamentals. Can you explain why?
Yeah. It's so weird.
Because you get like, now you want to know the history. Now you want to know the body
Yeah.
kinetics with that. Why, like the freaking weight shift? It's so simple to say it. You look at it, it's like they're not really doing anything. No, you look at it more. Okay, they're doing weight shift, and then you teach it. It's hard to break down that stuff. you know.
It's difficult to break it down, but I think it's even more difficult for people to sit there and take it, because like we're talking, people want to learn the fancy footworks. They want to learn the fancy footworks or the fast music with the crazy body movement. And the thing about body movement too is that I can show you, I can physically be there and help you push your back and forth and your chest side to side. But unless you practice it at home, then there's only so much I can do.
Yeah,
So your 1 hour with me is only gonna go so far. And if
yeah.
you don't, like I said, at home, and then you just want to add your fancy footwork on top of that, we're not really getting anywhere.
Wait, oh, wait, hold on. Okay, but it's what is that? Is that a bird, or a ringtone or something, or what?
Yeah, I have a lovebird. I just got a new one, so there's two here. There's a little baby, so he's very excited. He hears me talking to somebody, and he must know who it is.
Uh, Hi, Lena.
Hello.
Is that how you pronounce your name?
Yes, Lena.
Okay,
Hi,
Lena.
how are you?
Good. You know Allison, right?
I
Hi,
don't
Lena.
know Allison. Nice to meet you.
She is from
Nice to
Mambo
meet you.
Vixens, and I think she offers some classes during the week also. But It's a little different with Zouk and kizomba community because it's a little separate from um, salsa and bachata. Although at one
Mhm.
point we were all in the same house together, but different rooms, of course. But another thing uh, is it true, Lena, that Lena or Lena?
Lena.
Is it true, Lena, that Zouk and kizomba cannot be in the same room?
I don't believe so. I actually think they go really well together because
Me
you can
too. Yeah.
dance the same music.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, there's always politics and people have their different, people want to be different, they want to
Yeah.
be their vibe, and people get, you know, um, they have their particular types of music they want to listen to or
Yeah.
style. So maybe that's kind of what tends to separate them. But
How
my
did you how did you start? Which one went which one did you learn first, Zouk or kizomba?
I actually really learned them around the same time, but I
Oh,
I dedicated more time and energy into Zouk.
I see.
And then at Kizomba, I've kind of come back to
Is
after
it
a lot of
the
Zouk,
style that you do? Is it Porto Seguro or Brazilian Zouk?
Brazilian Zouk.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. Now, how long you been dancing this?
Zouk for about 6 years. Yeah, Kizomba around the same. And then
Yeah.
before that, I come from salsa bachata for the past
Have you really?
11.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, then since you have that background, let me ask you: is the body roll for bachata sensual the same as body roll for Zouk?
I mean, I think that's probably a matter of opinion, but I would say
Okay.
that body rolls are body rolls. I mean, the technique
Uh-huh.
is the same regardless of the.
But the way it's led and follow, is it the same?
I mean, it's hard. I don't think that there's any kind of gold standard for
Uh-huh.
leading and following. There's techniques that can be useful.
Okay.
For instance, like I can initiate a body roll by doing as a lead, I can do a mini micro body roll in my own body to
Right.
for the visual lead.
Sure.
But then there's the tactile lead where there's that motion on the follower's scapula. So
Right. Do they do it differently in bachata than zouk when it comes to the twist and the body rolls?
the twist.
Yeah, excuse me for that word because that's the same respond that the other zouk artist answers. Like, what are you talking about? What twist are you talking about? Okay, cancel the twist.
There's lots of twists and torsions, just
Yeah,
depending
that's what I
on
meant.
torsions.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't have that much experience with different bachata teachers. I mean, when I was in that community, I think that what was popular at the time was more like teaching patterns and sequences.
I see.
So I think that at least in the Zouk community, it's evolving into teaching more people. Like I like to use the analogy, you want to paint with many colors. So I want to give you yellow, blue, and red. Now make your colors, like coming
I
back
see.
down to foundational techniques,
Yeah.
I think is where kizomba really informs a lot of other dances because it's such a foundational movement with the feet and with the earth, and like everything kind of builds on that. So
Yeah.
it's like all of the dances really enhance one another if you
Mm-hmm.
look at just like basic partner dance technique, and how it's
Yeah.
universally applied between the dances. I mean, there are certain things that, yeah, you have to know that vocabulary to understand a lead or follow in any given dance. But if you are a technical dancer, you can at least, as a follower, follow most things because you're connected to your
Yeah.
partner. So I try to teach more of a connection oriented type of
Which
approach.
is which should be from the get-go actually when we teach fundamentals the connection should be taught from the get-go because it takes a while to get that concept of connection, especially when it comes to salsa and bachata. We have the tension concept of your hand. Nobody
Mhm.
gets that. It's like push. they're not pushing, they're pulling, you know. They're
Yeah.
like, what the hell, you know, but it's a matter of getting used to that feel. Now, when you dance kizomba, Lena, is it urban kids or is it kizomba?
I dance samba, kizomba, and urban. So
Okay.
it really depends on the music and the
Yeah.
partner.
Yeah. So I'm suppose you're more leaning into the traditional side of, because Simba is the traditional uh, uh, side of it, and I actually love it more than, especially the music. I can
I
dance
think
merengue to
everyone
it,
should
but don't shoot
start.
me.
Yeah,
You know? But I'm glad that you're able to make it for the festival. I haven't put you in a slot yet when it comes to workshop. I have at least probably four more space, I think. That's why when I announced it's 90% complete.
Mm.
I put Allison there. When are you teaching, Allison? What time?
I think I'm teaching Sunday or Saturday at 10 a.m.
And you're
Perhaps both.
you're teaching Mambo fundamentals, right?
Yeah, I'm teaching Mambo fundamentals, and I'm not sure if I'm still teaching the social dancing aspect of Mambo as well.
I'm not sure because so my bad for everyone, by the way, my bad because there are too many of you. And
Mm.
so if I can get you one slot for a workshop, I'll be happy. You know, in that way everybody else can participate and whatnot. But I promise
Mm.
that next year I'll do better. I mean, for crying out loud, that's 4 days already, and still does not fit. Hey, if I could find a hotel that can host us for a week, I'll do it uh, for a good price, right?
Mhm.
But I thank both of you for making the time. I know it was a last minute decision, Lena, for Zouk and Kizomba there, because originally it really was just bachata, and
Mm.
then pandemic happens and all of these other congresses are canceled in Hawaii, and I'm probably the very first one who's doing it after the pandemic. I was like, well, I might as well do other stuff because people are deprived of
Mhm.
congresses, you know, and whatnot. But um, yeah, that's pretty much it. Is this your first Congress, Allison? No.
I've been to the ones here in Hawaii, the one in Australia, the Las Vegas one.
With Nate, that's on July 4th, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
I've been to that one as
And
well.
Lena, is this your first Congress?
No,
You have
I
Zouk Congresses also, right? All over, right?
yeah, I just taught at Zouk in Mexico, and I my first travel teaching tour I did in Australia.
Yeah.
I was popping around a few cities there in 2018. Yeah, and I did Hawaii Zouk Festival in 2017. I helped plan that festival with Jonathan as well.
Yeah.
We were dancing and teaching together at the time. Um, yeah. So I have other things I do as well. I teach yoga, I run women's retreats, and I'm doing my master's in psychology and yoga. So I like to explore the mind body relationship. Um,
What's your dissertation then?
well, actually, my dissertation I want to do it is actually a PsyD because I'm working towards becoming a psychologist,
Yeah,
but I wanted to explore the healing applicability of partner dancing in couples therapy.
that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. My dissertation was uh, distance analysis, as I call it. So if you have a friend, well, if you have a person with you, whether it's a gentleman or a woman, I could judge from a distance what your life is by observing your mannerisms and the way you interact with each other. You
Wow,
know,
that's
it was like my professor, like, you're crazy. I was like, hey, you know. And and
wow,
and
that's
by, and by the
amazing.
way, I have masters of psychology too, and I had a
That's cool.
3 year PhD program until bachata came. So I left that.
Wow.
I left. Hey, you know, at that time there was only five of us who was teaching bachata all over the world. I was one of
Mm.
them, and my dream was to go all over the world and not spend money. You know, so versus 2 more years program for psychology, I went for bachata instead because I know that one of these days I'm not gonna have hair, and I'm not gonna be marketable, and so therefore I might as well do it now while I'm still looking young. So here I am. Became a promoter after that, you know. But
I hear
you would
you.
love psychology. It's the most fascinating thing I've ever experienced.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, let's see. What else do we want to talk about? Because it's just the two of you ladies, so that's a good thing. At least I can spend time with you because I don't think I've ever interacted with you guys before. No? Yeah, I mean, Allison said she met me and I don't remember. No offense. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
And
It was
Lena,
a
I
lot.
think.
It was a huge congress.
And then Lena is this is my first time interacting with you, right? Okay.
Yes.
You
Yeah,
haven't
I
been
think
to
we
my
very
Vegas event because
clearly.
when I'm Vegas event, I used to have a Zouk event too. Yeah,
Oh, really?
yeah, yeah.
All in Hawaii or somewhere
No,
else?
in Las Vegas.
In Las Vegas. Oh, nice.
Yeah, yeah. At one point, at all of my festival had a Zouk room and a kizomba room separate, and certain people I would assign to organize that room as a Zouk room, and then
Mhm.
as a kizomba room where they hire their own artist. Uh, that worked for a while. In fact, when I started Congress, it was like an Albert Torres type of Congress, meaning a salsa Congress. The reason I started Bachata Festival, number one, I got inspired by Australia, which was the first Bachata Festival in the world, and I did it second, which is the first Bachata Festival in the USA. I wanted to make it an anti-salsa Congress. Why? Let me.
Oh
I'm going to
no.
tell you why. Because every time I went to a salsa Congress. Everyone was snobby.
Hmm.
I hated that. It's like, I want to make, I want to make a Congress, create a Congress where it feels like a home party. And we did that for bachata until it got evolved and other things, and I think salsa people got involved also. So it's changing rapidly, but that was the whole idea, and that's what I loved about whether it's kazomba or whether it's zouk, because when we had that room, everybody dances with everyone. There's no snobbish attitude or anything. And I picked that up from them and apply it to my Congress. Another one I picked up is if you're teaching at a certain Congress back in the old day, you're on your own. You feed your own. They're not going to feed you. The promoter's not going to feed you and spend money for it. Well, I learned this from the Kizomba community specifically. Uh, when they started teaching at my festival first, they said, Rodney, leave a message on my, we're hungry. When are you going to feed us? It's like, what? I'm responsible for feeding you? Yes. That's when I learned the hard way. It's like, and ever since that time, I started hiring the Congress's chef, offer meals 2 or 3 times a day. And ever since that changed the Congress or any bachata Congress for that reason. But um, what is your favorite Congress so far with your dance tenure? Like you, Lena, first. Where?
Oh, my favorite Congress. I really like the smaller Congresses.
Me too.
I think past a certain level, the energy dissipates and you lose like a general vibe. If it's like more than 200 people, it's just chaos.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. It depends on the organization, but my favorite, it's tough to say. I mean, I
Why,
do
you're
really
gonna get in
like,
trouble or something?
no, I just like the smaller experiences. Like I really do like I have a friend who organizes like kind of smaller Zouk Congress type things on Hawaii. I mean
Yeah.
on Maui and then Big Island, and I travel around and dance with people there. But yeah, I mean Dutch Zouk Congress is a big one that was fun. I mean the quality of dancers, obviously you have more dancers at bigger congresses.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. I haven't been to every single one that I want to go to.
Okay.
I would probably say I really liked the Hawaii Zouk Festival because I
Is
helped.
that organized by Jonathan, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
and I think that I like when festivals have like a holistic perspective and they
Oh, I
include
like that. Yeah.
yoga and like other kind of movement centered practices, um, because I feel like it just helps create more community around like, okay, if you're a dancer, like obviously you need to stretch, right? So I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. What about you, Allison?
I think so far I really have enjoyed the smaller Hawaii ones. In 2019, I think it was, and then the events that Stefan has put on. But I also really enjoyed the SIBF in Australia. I think it was a congress that was done really well by Nestor and his team.
Nestor won.
I
Yeah.
think it's also the fact that he brought so many amazing artists. So like yourself was there, Edwin and Dakota at that time, Carlos and Chloe. I met Roberto and Daria. They were really amazing artists, and I felt like I picked up the most at that particular event. And
Yeah.
then it goes back to what we were talking about earlier about, basics and fundamentals. And I remember I had met Roberto before in Hawaii actually. So I was like, hey, so good to see you again. And I remember he was my most favorite social dancer. So I would keep going back and, hey, would you like to dance again?
Yeah.
And he wasn't doing anything fancy, was the
Yeah.
biggest thing. He was doing like a right turn, left turn, close position, and a turn here and there. And then that was it. But it was kind of the quality over quantity of the movement. So in general, it's just all those amazing artists.
Yeah.
Um,
Australia is good.
and I've
Australian
been,
people are good too. Australian dancers, they're very
yes,
humble. They're very teachable,
amazing.
and they
Yes.
dance with everyone, right? I meant to ask you this because most of the time you do follow, right? I'm sure you probably could. Both of you know how to lead, but most of the time when you social dance, you're being led and all of that stuff. Uh, the best salsa dancer in the world, I would say the world. Okay, well, let me just say Bay Area. And when I say Bay Area, the world is because it's so diverse, right? Um, name is Eugene Kim. He is this short, maybe he's just short, and he only knows 5 movements of salsa. Yet, all these beautiful ladies line up to dance with him. Why do you think that is?
Quality over quantity, my friend.
Yeah,
It's that and the connection that these people employ. So he's not trying to show off for himself. He's trying to make it that 50-50 dance, give his fellow the best experience
mm-hmm.
um that he can. And I think one of my friends from New York put it really well. And I had asked him, I was like, dude, why do you social dance? Like what do you get out of it? And he said, um, if a follower thinks she's a 5, he wants to make her think she's a 7.
Interesting.
How good of a follower or good of a dancer she is, or she feels she is. If
Yeah,
she thinks she's a 7, he wants to make her think she's a 9. And if she
right.
thinks she's a 9, he wants to put her through the roof and give her the best possible experience. But
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be with flashy moves.
yeah. What about you, Lena? What do you
So
look
he's in
for a
it for
good
the
lead?
entire game. Like I said, he's not trying to.
Lena, what do you look for a good lead? What's a good lead to you? What's a good social dance experience for you?
Well, I my company is called Mystic Zouk, so I have a formula. It's E equals MC squared. So experience and expression is the E. There's like 2 parts of the E times movement, connection, and creativity. So the double C is the connection and creativity, M is the movement. So like for me, I feel like dance is an expression on the outer level, but it's
Right.
also an experience on the inner level. So I'm looking for a balance of um, being able to express myself, but also feeling held in the felt experience that I'm in with the other person. So yeah, just kind of a balance of that. Like I also don't really like I'm a bit of a revolutionary. I don't really like the words lead and follow because of what they
Uh-huh.
imply. It's like he's in control and she's like
Right.
just following all the time. But I think it's more like a yin yang where it's
Sure.
we kind of the more advanced we get. Of course, we need roles. The
Right.
more advanced we get, the more the follower can induce and the lead can, like a wave, like follow the energy of the wave. Don't
Right.
resist the wave because she understood your input differently.
Right. Right.
Go with the wave. So we're
Right.
always kind of going with each other. And I think of that as like, instead of leader follower, it's like listener and feeler. So like the
Okay.
lead is always like listening and looking and planning and needs to be in tune with, okay, can she do that movement? And then the feeler is like, okay, how does this feel? What am I literally feeling? And just not getting into my head, what do I think he wants me to do? But
Yeah.
what am I actually feeling? Because I want to give accurate feedback to my leader, to my listener,
Right.
so that he can learn, so that we can create something that's true, that's
So
authentic.
how do you determine that feeling while you're dancing?
That's a really great question. Um,
Because
I
I know
guess,
you were talking about waves and everything in bachata. We call that flow. You go with the
yeah,
flow. Yeah.
that's the word that comes to mind. It's just like
Right.
it's a flow state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's now. Do you have to have mutual feelings while you're dancing together to enjoy the flow?
Well, I think that's the other triangulation that's happening, is the connection with yourself, connection with the partner, connection to the music, and in that order. If I'm not connected to myself, then I can't connect to the partner, and then I
Yeah.
can't experience the music. So I think as a follower, I'm feeling the music through my partner's body, and um expressing that through my command of my own
Right.
body. So
Right. Now, do you think that can be applied to salsa and bachata as well? Because I know the dynamics between two people when it comes to zouk and kizomba are so different from bachata or salsa.
I think it can. I mean, you're just more, I think that the main difference is that you're more connected to a rhythm.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, you just keeping that rhythm, and then there's a little bit more freedom in
Yeah.
salsa and bachata for the individuality to come out and
Sure.
shine, things like that. So
Yeah.
you might break from it at times, but when you're coming back into connection, there is still that element of, keeping the rhythm, but and feeling the music yourself, but not
Yeah.
losing that connection of how the other person is feeling it, so that you can respond to them as well.
Agreed. Allison, do you like the idea of learning everything? Meaning, once you learn every style there, whether it's salsa, bachata, zouk, kizomba, samba, um, is it good to be in one room like that so you can dance everything, or you have to separate the room?
When you say separate the room, do you mean having all of it in one room so everyone can dance everything, or giving them
Yeah.
the option of
You
dancing in
remember?
other
I don't
rooms?
know if you guys have ballroom backgrounds. I do. I came from ballroom. You know, they play five types of songs and five types of dances. Oh, coming up, cha cha cha. They announce it and everything, and everybody dances it. So, is that a possibility in our community? Because I know how specific we are sometimes when it comes to styling of dance. But would that be a great thing? I don't know. You tell me.
I think it's definitely possible. I know there's for sure going to be some people like, no, like F that, like I'm not about that.
Yeah.
I think it's worth a try because I I enjoy dancing a bunch of different things. I
Right.
like salsa, I like bachata, I like kizomba. I've danced it before.
Yeah.
It's cool. I think like Lena said, you can gain different skills from
Yeah.
each of these dances and they contribute to one another. But at the same time, the New York salsa lover in me just can't get enough of salsa. I want to dance as many salsas as possible
Yeah.
and then go enjoy some time in the bachata room. And then when I've got my second one, then I'm gonna go back to the salsa room and dance like 10 more,
Yeah,
go get my drink, and then go back to the bachata room and just kind of groove and chill and just
yeah.
kind of wind down. Not to say that we can't, like I said, give it a go. I think it would be worth it. Maybe one day out of like this whole Bachata Expo week, we could give that a go and
Well, that's
see
what
how
I'm planning
everybody
to
does.
do, but I haven't
Oh,
decided. I haven't decided whether to include kizomba and zouk in the salsa room yet. I have not decided that yet, because that would be the
good
first.
decision.
That would be the first if I do that. I mean, salsa and bachata, a lot of people are doing that already, right? Combine and all
Yeah.
that. But salsa, bachata, zouk, and kizomba, I don't know. So that is something to explore. I mean, what do you think about this, Lena?
I love it. I love that idea of experimenting with it. And, one of my big awakenings on this path of teaching in dance is it's not about it's not about competition, because the more you have people seeing other dances, like I like to go and dance tango.
Yeah,
When I was in Brazil, I was learning forró and samba de gafieira, and like I want to learn all the dances because
yeah.
that gives me more tools and more abilities as a dancer to be creative and innovative. So I think it's cool to see people, maybe someone has to sit out because they don't know a type of dance, but then they get exposed to it
Yeah.
and maybe they like it. And as dance teachers, we want, you know, we want our students to be exposed to different movements, and there's more than enough dance to go around. So I think it's a really beautiful idea and kind of revolutionary.
It's
um,
it's funny because you guys have the same. You agree with me in this, and I like the idea. In fact, I came from that community, and Ismael Otero is another one that loves this idea. Even Carlos Cinta, for that matter. But Ismael, as you know, is 100% mambo or whatever. But he likes to dance everything also. So that's an interesting concept. I mean, salsa and bachata is already there. We know this. Of course, some people just play 80% salsa and two bachatas, which is not fair. But uh, now, what would be a good balance here then, Lena? I mean, what? Two zouk, two kizomba, two salsa, 2-and-2 ratio? What is it?
yeah, I mean, it is a salsa bachata congress, so I mean, I think that kizomba zouk people would understand if there weren't as many zouk kizomba songs. But I think also, you might not get people in the room if they aren't playing as many of the songs.
Exactly, yeah.
So it might be good to, if you're going to experiment with that, like doing it equal. But I do get Allison's point of like, yeah, when you love something, you want variety. We want variety, but we want it on our own terms. We
Yeah.
want to be like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
going to the salsa room now, or I'm going to the bachata room, I'm going to the
You,
zouk room.
you have choices. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good to have choices, and we need that. But I also think it would be cool if we also had the choice to go to a social where everything was included and we didn't have to choose.
Yeah.
In the event that we don't have a festival where there are different rooms, you know.
Well, if you guys been to a buffet, right? When it comes to food and all that, it's overwhelming. You don't get to enjoy all the food, but then when you go to a restaurant and you order a specific food, you enjoy the benefit of that food also, that particular dish. I think that there's a place for, and there's a time for just one room. And I'm thinking Monday, maybe. We'll see. We'll see. It's either Monday or Friday. I'm not sure yet, but it's definitely gonna be just for one night because it's an experiment. Um,
Mhm.
I'm not saying that because we don't have enough room. No, I'm just saying that it might be a good concept, a new concept to experience. We have not included Zouk and Kizomba there before, but it would be interesting to include it and see. Yeah, I want to see how Lena dances bachata. I want to see how Alison dances kizomba. I'd be curious to know. That'd be so good. And of course the students, that would make them be compelled to learn every style out there. So that, again, my idea of social dancing or my idea of a social dancer is that he or she or they are able to dance everything, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of hard for for the people that ask me to dance, for the people that ask you to dance, or I dance with someone. It's like I only dance on two. You know, it's kind of an insult, isn't it?
Hmm.
So, well, I look forward to it. You get if you have one slot for the workshop, what will you be teaching, Lena?
Zouk.
Zouk. And what is the concept you're teaching for Zouk? Is it level one, level two, or is there a specific title for it?
Well, that's kind of what I wanted to get out of this video call is what are the expectations? You know, how much freedom do I have as far as choosing what I want to teach, as far as where am I being placed in the schedule, what day? I want to try to make it work with what else you have going on as well. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I would like to teach something open level for everyone that, you know, beginner, intermediate, and advanced can get something out of. That's
Yeah, I
my
like that idea. Yeah,
perspective
I
too.
like all levels actually. I like open level. I like all levels, uh, because it is up to the individual. And we're talking about students whether they want to treat that as an advance or they want to treat it as a basic. Uh, I mean, I could teach a sidestep and make it into an advanced level, but it's still going to be sidestep. It's just a matter of teaching sidestep and explaining it 10 different ways. Does that make sense, you guys?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Allison, you're teaching
About
basic
on
Mambo already?
Saturday.
I'm sorry, what?
Oh, I was gonna say on Saturday, Lena can take the
Are you looking at the schedule
10
right now? Maybe you
a.m.
guys
slot
can
in
help
room
me.
two.
Okay. Help me out.
Yeah,
Maybe you guys can
I
help me.
am. So I'm teaching two workshops. So the first one is Saturday,
Uh-huh.
at 10 a.m. So what I was saying is Lena can take that one, and I'll just
Okay.
keep the one on Sunday, which is I think I'm teaching the salsa timing and basic foundation. So
Yeah.
everybody who's not from Hawaii can experience my
Well, there you
my
go.
beginner and foundation class.
Lena, you're okay with
Yeah.
that? Because if it is, then Allison needs to send me a note because I would forget this conversation.
Okay. Saturday, 10 a.m. It's an hour-long
Now,
class.
now I know the locals will
Yes.
probably be like, why are you starting at 9 a.m.? Do you guys have any idea that people outside of Hawaii, that's 12 p.m. for them?
Right.
Or 1 p.m. You
True.
know? So they don't mind, your 9 a.m. there in Hawaii is 12 p.m. for us. So
No problem at all.
there's a lot of students who's gonna take your class, that's for sure. So that's good. And what do you want me to title it again, Lena? Zouk.
Can I get back to you on that?
Get back to me on that one, yeah.
Let my creative brain
Yeah.
percolate.
You guys gotta have to be creative with this title because a lot of students pays particular things to that, whether they want to take it or not. Because
Right.
yeah, so that's good. Um, oh God, what else are we talking about? We talked for about over an hour and a half or something. Maybe I talk a lot. That's probably why. But Judah
You
was
asked
trying
great
to.
questions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Judah was trying to get in, but I said click the link. He couldn't. I was like, all right. I already interviewed him before anyway. But sorry, Judah. They were able to get in. But anyway, now, Lena, I am not familiar with the community when it comes to Zouk and Kizomba. Is it big in Hawaii?
It's pretty big, actually. There's a zoo community on every island. Um, yeah, it's
I
pretty
didn't know
exciting.
about this. Yeah.
Do you know Lexi?
No.
Okay.
Who is she?
I might actually have her assist my class, but she's a Zouk dancer. She does pole and fire dancing as well, and she teaches a little bit as well.
Hold on. I think Allison wants to say goodbye first. Allison, thank you for
Yeah,
coming
sorry, I have to
in.
get the head out.
Good to get to know you. I'll see you at the expo, okay?
Definitely
Bye,
right. Thank you,
Allison.
and thank you, Lena. See you guys soon.
All right. Okay, Lena, where were we? What were we talking about again? Oh, the zoo community. That is. Okay.
Yeah, zoo community. So yeah, there's quite a big zoo community here. And then we had an organizer from New York move to Maui. So he's been organizing a lot of intensives over there. So there's been a lot of people from just around the world, high level teachers and Zouk dancers coming to Hawaii frequently ever since the pandemic.
Oh, that's good. And what about kizomba?
Kizomba, I don't know if there's much of a community. I know Maddie just moved here.
But I think he's moving out, right?
Is he? I don't know. I actually have never had the chance to meet him,
Mm,
but I was interested. Oh, wow, a Kizomba teacher here. Amazing. Because I was
yeah.
thinking, well, because I feel like I don't necessarily, I could lead a Kizomba class. Like I know a lot of the foundation, but I don't like lead that much as a Kizomba dancer. I lead Zouk.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I was going to teach a Kizomba class, it would be preferable to partner with someone. But yeah, I wish there was more Kizomba out here. I would love to bring more teachers.
Yeah. I mean,
Bringing anyone off island?
I was watching Matty on some of his video. Yeah, he dances kizomba really good. The I don't know. I don't want to call it traditional because they're gonna shoot me, but it's not urban kiss, that's for sure.
Right.
Yeah, and he's particularly dancing Simba there, and it's pretty good. I love it. I love it. It's my kind of thing there. I'm just not sure if the kizomba crowd is big enough in Hawaii, in my opinion. I know Zouk, like you told me, Jonathan organizes one, and now you said there's one in Maui, which I didn't know. I was like, oh, I didn't know that Zouk is pretty big in Hawaii. Well, that's a great thing to hear.
Hmm. Yeah.
Now, when you guys have Congress, it's just 100% Zouk, isn't it?
Usually, yeah, sometimes there's some other dances. It depends on where the Congress is and, you know, the perspective of the organizers. But yeah, there's all different types of Congresses.
Who's your favorite Zouk artist right now? I'm talking about a dancer.
Um, so I think my favorite Zouk artist is probably the person who got me to fall in love with Zouk in the first place, which is Evelyn.
Oh, I
And she
see.
used to live out here.
Yeah.
So I trained quite a bit with her. I just love her freedom of expression and the way that she embodies movements. Um, so yeah, she's one of my favorites.
Now, when it comes to Zouk, because there's a lot of waves there and everything, is there any other dances that enhances the movements of Zouk, like capoeira or any other type of dance style out there to build the
I would
foundation?
say, yeah, capoeira because it has that built-in, twisting of the
Yeah,
body that is very dynamic in Zouk.
yeah,
Also kizomba because that really gets people to like use the whole foot on the floor
right.
and really extend that movement in this kind of shock absorption that we're always doing in Zouk, like absorbing with the floor. We have the time for that.
Mm.
So we really want to use that. So I think yeah, definitely I liked learning kizomba at the same time as Zouk because really like the basic step in place is the same. If you're really using and articulating your leg, um, yeah, it's really the same. So there's a difference between like just stepping with a flat foot and then like really like
Got it. Yeah,
I call it like squashing the grapes, like really like feeling the floor. So you
yeah,
want to feel the floor because as grounded as you can be in Zouk, then that is what capacitates a lot of the freedom in the upper body. But if you don't have that grounding first, everybody looks at head movement, they're like, oh, I want to do that. But if
yeah.
you're not super solid on the floor, it's really hard to engage those movements.
Yeah, that's an interesting. Now, when you started learning kizomba, I mean not kizomba, Zouk, how long did it take you? Because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of beginners at the Congress, and the question is, are they going to invest their time for an hour or two or for a weekend to learn Zouk? And are they going to be good at it once they learn it? How long does it really take for you to at least get comfortable with the movements or basic movements of Zouk?
Well, I think a lot of it is just your beliefs and mental, so I always start the class with like a warm up where people are already doing a lot of the basic steps just visually in a
Yeah,
circle together. and so they don't like psych themselves out when you try to explain it, because they already did it.
Hmm.
So I think that in one sense it's really simple, and then in another sense it's like a never ending journey. I think the most advanced classes are just the ones that are most particular about basic step technique. So
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah,
like you can go super deep into the basics.
yeah.
But yeah, I think people can start dancing in one class. You have in place, you have forward back, and you have lateral. That's a whole song. I
Yeah.
can dance in place and rotate left, rotate right, open, close, and then that's, if I'm, as long as I'm changing that up and creating variety with the musicality and connection with my partner, like that's a whole dance.
Awesome. Wow. That it turned out to be a great conversation like about dancing from beginning to end. That's good. I thought we were just gonna talk about Hawaii, but it turned out to be a good topic when the people that are probably curious about who's teaching in Hawaii and what they're gonna teach and all of that, and of course the concept of dancing. So that's a great thing. Thanks for this time, Lena. Uh, what's your nationality? Because your last, how do you pronounce it? Shemiz?
Semez.
Semez?
Yeah, it
What's
says
your
it.
heritage?
That's Lithuanian.
Oh wow, I went to Lithuania before.
Really?
Uh, I loved what's the capital again? What was the capital? It looks like a little Italy. Uh,
Hmm.
capital of
I don't
Lithuania.
know. I've never been.
Are you what? You know,
Yeah.
never been there. Oh my God, it's a great country. We
Yeah.
did a Latin Congress there before, um, but it wasn't
Yeah.
a lot of people. But we went to the capital. I forgot the capital, but and then we hang out in the little Italy area because it does look like Italy, even the architecture and all of that stuff. But oh wow! But anyways, thank you. I will see you at the expo. I will jot you down for one workshop there somewhere. I think she said Saturday, right? And
Saturday,
then
10 a.m.
you're gonna email me with the title and maybe just a little description for it, and then that way I would know how to place it.
Okay, sounds great.
Thank you.
You want me to email you or message you on Facebook?
Just message me on Facebook because it's connected to my phone anyway.
Okay,
Yeah.
sounds great.
Thanks for the time. I'll see you next week.
Thank you, Rod. See
All right,
you.
Lena. Nice to meet you.
Aloha.
Aloha.